Fair housing is one of the most important areas of real estate law because it ensures that all people have an equal opportunity to live where they choose without facing discrimination. The principles of fair housing are rooted in both federal and state law, and they form the ethical and legal foundation of how real estate professionals must conduct business. In Arizona, fair housing protections are enforced through a combination of federal statutes, like the Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968, and state-level authorities, including the Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE, the Arizona Attorney General's Office, and the Arizona Civil Rights Act, codified in Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 41-1491 through Section 41-1491.38. Together, these entities and statutes ensure that housing discrimination is prohibited in every part of the housing process, from advertising and lending to renting and selling property. The fundamental principle of fair housing is equality. Every person, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin, has the right to obtain housing free from discrimination. These protected classes were established under the Federal Fair Housing Act, and Arizona's Civil Rights Act adopts and enforces the same standards, adding state-level procedures for investigation and enforcement. The Arizona Department of Real Estate, ADRE, plays a critical role in ensuring that licensees comply with these fair housing requirements. Under Commissioner's Rule R 4-28-1101, all licensees must protect and promote the interests of their clients while dealing honestly and fairly with all other parties. This means that real estate agents must never engage in conduct that results in unequal treatment or discourages anyone from buying, selling, or renting property based on a protected characteristic. The Arizona Department of Real Estate oversees licensees to ensure that all activities are conducted in accordance with state and federal fair housing laws. If a licensee violates fair housing law, the ADRE has the authority to investigate and take disciplinary action under ARS Section 322153 for dishonest or untrustworthy conduct. For example, if an agent refuses to show a property to a family with children, that act constitutes discrimination based on familial status and could lead to both state and federal penalties. The department also emphasizes education, requiring pre-licensing and continuing education courses that include instruction on fair housing, ethics, and consumer protection to ensure that all real estate professionals understand their obligations. The Arizona Attorney General's Office, specifically the Civil Rights Division, is the primary agency responsible for enforcing fair housing laws within the state. Under the Arizona Civil Rights Act, the Attorney General has the power to investigate complaints of housing discrimination, mediate disputes, and bring legal actions against violators. According to ARS Section 41-149-1.09, individuals who believe they have been discriminated against in housing may file a complaint with the Attorney General's office within 1 year of the alleged violation. Once a complaint is filed, the Civil Rights Division investigates and determines whether there is reasonable cause to believe that discrimination occurred. If evidence supports the claim, the Attorney General may pursue administrative remedies or file a civil lawsuit to obtain relief, including injunctions, damages, and penalties. A key feature of the Arizona Civil Rights Act is that it mirrors the Federal Fair Housing Act, but allows for local enforcement. This means that Arizona's system works in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. SHUD often refers complaints arising in Arizona to the Attorney General's Office for investigation, ensuring that Arizona residents have accessible and efficient pathways for justice. For example, if a disabled tenant is denied a reasonable accommodation, such as permission to install a wheelchair ramp, the tenant may file a complaint through the Attorney General's Civil Rights Division. The office can then investigate and require the landlord to comply or face penalties. In addition to enforcement, The Attorney General's office plays an educational and preventive role. It provides public outreach and training programs to inform landlords, property managers, lenders, and real estate agents about their legal responsibilities under fair housing law. The goal is not only to punish discrimination, but to prevent it through awareness and proactive compliance. The Arizona Civil Rights Act, under ARS Section 41-149, 1.14, makes it unlawful to refuse to sell, rent, or negotiate for housing, or otherwise make housing unavailable to any person because of a protected characteristic. It also prohibits discriminatory advertising, statements indicating preference or limitation, and steering, where a licensee guides clients toward or away from neighborhoods based on their race or other protected traits. Violations of this nature are considered serious ethical and legal breaches. In United States versus Mitchell, 1978, the court reinforced that steering and redlining practices, even if subtly executed, undermine fair housing principles and are prohibited under both federal and state law. Arizona law extends these protections to include the obligation to provide reasonable accommodations and modifications for persons with disabilities. For example, a landlord must allow a tenant with a visual impairment to install tactile door markers, or a condo association must permit a ramp installation for wheelchair access. Refusing such accommodations would constitute unlawful discrimination under ARS Section 4, 1-149, 1.19. The enforcement of fair housing laws in Arizona represents a coordinated effort among multiple agencies. The ADRE ensures that licensees understand and uphold their ethical obligations. The Attorney General's office investigates and enforces violations, and the Arizona Civil Rights Act provides the legal structure that defines and prohibits discriminatory practices. Together, they promote equal access to housing and uphold the principle that real estate professionals serve the public without bias. Review summary. The Arizona Fair Housing Framework is built upon the principle that everyone deserves equal housing opportunities free from discrimination. The Arizona Department of Real Estate ensures licensees follow fair housing law and ethical standards, while the Arizona Attorney General's Civil Rights Division enforces those laws by investigating and prosecuting violations. The Arizona Civil Rights Act, ARS Section 41-1491 ATCQ, prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, or disability. Licensees must comply with both federal and state laws, treating all parties honestly and fairly under R4-28-1101. Failure to comply can result in disciplinary action, civil penalties, or loss of license. These laws are not only legal obligations, but also essential to maintaining public trust and integrity in Arizona's housing market. Discussion. Why is the principle of fair housing fundamental to real estate practice? Answer. It ensures that all individuals have equal access to housing opportunities regardless of personal characteristics, reinforcing both ethical and legal fairness in real estate. What role does the Arizona Attorney General play in enforcing fair housing laws? Answer. The Attorney General's Civil Rights Division investigates discrimination complaints, mediates disputes, and brings enforcement actions under the Arizona Civil Rights Act. What is the purpose of the Arizona Civil Rights Act in real estate? Answer. To prohibit housing discrimination and ensure equal access to housing opportunities for all protected classes under ARS Section 4, 1-14918 SEQ. Closing remarks. Fair housing is more than a set of legal rules. It is a reflection of Arizona's commitment to fairness, equality, and integrity in the housing market. As a real estate professional, understanding these laws is essential to upholding both your ethical and legal responsibilities. Compliance with fair housing laws protects your clients, your license, and the public's trust. By working in alignment with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, the Attorney General's Office, and the Arizona Civil Rights Act. Licensees help ensure that every individual has the right to choose housing freely, without discrimination or bias.